Welcome to the MacroHabits Podcast. I am your host, Hannah. Happy Friday, you guys. I'm actually filming this 2 days before this technically launches. Normally I do a Monday recording, but this week I am recording today. I'm so happy to be here. I'm really excited for today's episode. I'm going to be talking all about how to naturally boost your GLP-1 hormone. This helps with satiety, cravings, and ultimately helps with body recomp. And then I'm also going to talk about the importance of fiber, managing glucose spikes, all of that stuff. I'm going to do a Q&A style. I'm really excited to get into it. But first, we're going to go over my high and low. I have a pretty intense low that we're going to get into, but we're going to start with the highs, start off on a positive note. The weather in Orange County has been so nice. Well, last weekend was amazing. This weekend, the weather's not looking great, but we're talking about last weekend. The weather was incredible and I got out on my 2-hour beach walks. I'm back on the beach walk grind. It is truly one of my favorite things to put on a cute workout set, load up my fanny pack with my Aquaphor, my wallet, some sunglasses, and put a disgusting amount of sunscreen on my face and hit the pavement for literally 2 to 3 hours, like all afternoon. It is just so fun. I love being in the sun. I obviously love the movement aspect. I love getting a fun coffee or a little treat depending on how I'm feeling. And that's what I did Saturday and Sunday. And I got some color. The UV was a 4. It just was so much fun. And someone asked me the other day, like, what are your hobbies? And the first thing I said was an outdoor walk. Like, I think that's actually a hobby of mine. Like I just said, I kind of romanticize it and add some fun elements to it. But that was definitely one of my highs, especially with what happened last Friday. Having some good outdoor walks this past weekend was good for the mental. And I just love being in the sun. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is I love being in the sun. Also, like I said, I sometimes will get like an iced coffee or an iced matcha or a fun drink. And I get a lot of questions. How do I track my coffees when I'm out and about? Because honestly, I really don't go to Starbucks anymore. So, I mean, if I'm in a pinch or maybe am traveling, I'll do a Starbucks. But I love to get my coffees from like local coffee shops in Orange County, or I make my coffee at home a lot of the time now, as you guys know. But if I go to a local coffee shop, what I do is I just match up the coffee with a chain restaurant coffee. So for example, if I'm getting, normally my order at any coffee shop is an iced sugar-free vanilla latte, and then I'll do 2% or whole milk. And then I'll just match that up to like a Starbucks, a grande iced sugar-free vanilla latte from Starbucks. So I'll just sync that up and match that into the app. I track macros in the Lose It app. I really, really like that app. I just feel like it's visually very easy to like see everything and understand it. I think you should use whatever tracking app you feel most comfortable with. But if you are someone who's interested in tracking macros and don't really know where to start, I would start by tracking on the Lose It app. I really like that one. But that's how I track my coffees when I'm out and about. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to like generally match up. Like for example, if you were to get an iced mocha at a local coffee shop, I would just go into Starbucks and type in grande iced mocha. We don't need to overcomplicate it. I track macros with that flexible, intuitive approach. I never overstress the little things, especially on a weekend when I'm a little bit more intuitive anyways sometimes, especially with like me being more social now. So to answer that question I get frequently in DMs, that is what I do. I also just want to quickly shout out, I had so many kind DMs from last week's episode regarding my Accutane journey and decision to do Accutane for a second round. I just had so many girls tell me that the second round of Accutane that they did really did change their skin, and it was the best decision they made, and they don't struggle with acne at all. And that is just the type of energy that I need to hear when it comes to Accutane, because honestly, guys, it was a stressful decision. I mean, when you're on Accutane, there are some things that you need to be aware of, and it's just a lot, you know, it's hard on the body. It can be hard with the dryness, especially with like the summer and living in a place where it's sunny a lot of the time. I have to be really careful with sun exposure, and you got to be on it with like joint health and all of that stuff. So I am super happy that I made the decision to do it again, but I've just been very appreciative of all the kind feedback that I've gotten from sharing that. Obviously, I share pretty much everything, especially on the podcast. I feel like I'm much more kind of, you know, I go into detail with things, and it's a little bit more, it's a form of long form content where I can really talk to you guys about things. So if you're someone that DM me a kind thing about your Accutane experience. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, next small high that I have is when I was preparing for this episode, I wrote down almost out of the luteal phase, and I started my period yesterday. And can I just say, I love being on my period. You guys know this. I've talked about this multiple times. I hate being in the luteal. You have 4 phases, okay? You have a menstrual cycle, the follicular, ovulation, and luteal. If you want me to do a whole episode on that, let me know, because I can. I've done a lot of research and really learned a lot from my findings and just kind of tracking my cycle with the Oura Ring and the Natural Cycles app. But I just love being in my luteal, or not my luteal, on my period. Hate being in my luteal. Also, the luteal is 14 days, which is just criminal, honestly. You don't feel like shit the whole 14 days. Usually you have like a 3 to 4 days when you're in your peak luteal where you feel the tiredness, maybe higher emotions, higher cravings, moon face, you have digestive issues, you just feel kind of stagnant. That's how I can explain it. When I'm in the luteal, I feel like I'm moving through glue. Like I just feel stagnant and sticky and just off. So when I start bleeding, I am one happy girl. Okay. I just love being on my period. And I don't know, I feel like some of my friends are like, yes, Hannah, I totally agree with you. Like I love being on my period too. And then other friends are like, you're crazy. I actually hate being on my period. So if you're someone that hates being on your period, I hope that you have a more pleasant luteal phase. But really, we're all just kind of screwed in a sense, because if you think about it, like 2 weeks out of the month, we're in our luteal, and then 1 week we're technically in our period. And a lot of people I know don't feel great on their period. So yeah, it's just rude that we have to deal with that. But you know, we push through. As sisters in Zion, we all work together. If you were raised Mormon, you'll understand that reference. Anyway, so yeah, really happy to be on the period. I have less inflammation, better digestion, less brain fog. I feel leaner. So I'm just stoked about that. That is a small high. All right, we're going to get into the low. Buckle up, you guys, because it's still hard for me to talk about. Okay. I'm going to give you guys context. I'm going to give you the full story. So let's go back to my 30th birthday. I turned 30 on December 31st of last year. Okay. And I decided that for my birthday, I was going to get myself kind of like my dream car in a sense. It's something I haven't really ever spent a lot of money in the car realm. And I just thought, you know what? I've worked my ass off in my 20s. I'm going to continue to work hard in my 30s. I'm going to go get myself my dream car. Okay. So that's what I did. And I felt really good about it in my gut. I had wanted this car earlier in the year last year, and I just like couldn't go through. I couldn't pull the trigger. And so I waited because I just didn't have a good gut feeling. And in December of this last year, and with it being my 30th birthday, I was like, I am feeling good about this. This all feels so right. I'm so excited. So yeah, I bought myself a car for my 30th birthday, and it's been a great experience up until it wasn't. But no, seriously, like I've been so happy with the decision. It was such a good decision. I feel so good about it. But last Friday, I was driving home from Newport. I live in South Orange County. And as I'm driving on the freeway, I just want you guys to know too, 2 hands are on the wheel, 2 eyes are on the road. I am not distracted driving. I'm on the phone with someone, but like I'm locked in, driving the speed limit. And all of a sudden I see a truck, like a car in front of me. I see something fall from the back of his truck and start like ricocheting down the freeway. And this all happened so quickly, by the way. Okay. This is like a blink of an eye, but I am like aware that there's something coming towards my car, and there's a car to the left of me, a car to the right of me. And I just have a moment of like, oh, I'm so effed right now. Like, I don't know what to do. And thankfully this thing didn't go through my windshield, but it nailed the side of my car, and it got caught in between my back tire and fender and made a noise that I hope to never hear again. It immediately, like, my car took the hit so well, and I'm so grateful I was in like a bigger build car. Like, my girl is boxy and she is thick, and she took the hit well. Okay. She kept me safe and kept everyone else safe. Thank God that I didn't hit anyone or no one else was injured. I wasn't injured at all, but it definitely, like, the force of the object hitting my car, like I felt it, and the noise was so insane. I immediately pulled over. I was actually right next to an exit, gratefully. And I pulled off into a high school parking lot, and I'm actually pulling into the parking lot and I see there was like a guy who was going to direct traffic, like the high school is almost out. And I see his face when he sees the side of my car and I'm just like, oh shit, this is bad. Like this is actually really bad. Anyway, I park, I get out of my car and yeah, it's bad. Okay. My wheel, it's not totaled. It's just like the back left part of the fender is completely torn off. And then my wheel is like not drivable. It'd be really dangerous to drive it. I'm actually so lucky my tire didn't blow. But like my tire was completely effed up and I just had a meltdown. Okay. Like I am just a girl. I'm just a girl on the side of the road. And I am just like, did this really just happen to me? I mean, obviously I'm great. Like I want you guys to know, I'm very grateful that one, I didn't hurt anyone else, or hit anyone else, but I'm grateful that I was okay. But I'm just having my like melodramatic moment of, did this really just happen? Like, did I just do this to my brand new car? Okay. So anyway, I call my dad and that's what you do when you have a car problem. And I call the insurance. I realize I need to get a tow truck because it's very dangerous, like I said, to drive with the tire being in the condition that it's in. And this is all happening at like 2 p.m. on a Friday. Okay. So I'm like stressed because we're about to go into like a 3-day weekend with it being MLK on Monday, like everything's closed down as it should be, but I'm just like stressed. Like I need to get this claim going. I need to call my insurance, call the tow truck. Like where does the tow truck take the car? I don't know. Like where does the car go? So anyway, I get all those questions figured out. It takes like an hour and a half for this process. And my parents don't live local. Like my parents are in Northern California. So I don't really have I don't really have a lot of like men in my corner, in this time of life. And I actually was, funny enough, I was on the phone when this happened, like I said, with a guy that I actually used to date like 3 years ago. And we've maintained like a friendship kind of on and off throughout the last 3 years. But I was on the phone with him and he heard it obviously when it happened. And I said a slur of words that I will not repeat on this podcast, but clearly, obviously he knew something bad happened. So he was texting me and he was like, do you need help? And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm good. It's fine. And then after I had kind of like gotten some of the ducks in a row, like the tow truck was going to come in an hour and a half. I knew where it was going to take it. My insurance, claim was being started. I was just sitting there next to my car in this high school parking lot, just like, kind of whimpering and crying. I'm like just having, a moment. I just was like, this is so shitty. And then I realized, okay, I need to get a rental car and my ID is at the dealership. I left my ID at the dealership a few weeks ago. And it's one of those things where, when you have something on your list that's not urgent, but you need to do, that's what was happening with this ID situation. I kept being like, okay, I need to get my ID. I need to get my ID. But like every day those urgent things were coming up and it was trumping the act of me going getting my ID. So then I realized as I'm sitting there, okay, I need to drive with a tow truck driver to this collision. Okay, can I speak? Drive with the tow truck driver to the collision center. And then I need to Uber to the dealership to get my ID. And then I need to Uber to Enterprise to get my rental car. Like all these thoughts are going through my head. And I'm just like, this is actually my worst nightmare. Anyway, the guy ended up coming and helping me that I was on the phone with. And like, truly, he was the knight in shining armor in that situation. Like, thank goodness he came and helped me because after I had gotten my ID, I ended up having to go to not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, you guys, 5 different rental car places because for some reason, like, is there a shortage of rental cars? Like, what is happening? It ended up being like a 3-hour ordeal. And if he didn't come, like, save the day, I would have been Ubering all around Orange County and had probably 3 or 4 more meltdowns. So thank you to him for just saving the day in that realm. But ultimately, everything's going to be fine. My car is in the process of getting fixed. I have a rental car. It's all going to be good. I'm still dealing with insurance is such a nightmare, but I will say this, okay? One silver lining besides me not being hurt and not hurting anyone else is every single person I came in contact with that day, between the tow truck driver, the collision center people, the insurance, the dealership, the rental car places, like every single person met me with kindness. And that was just something that didn't go unnoticed for me. I feel like everyone was very patient with me, very kind, very genuine. They were showing remorse for me, which felt nice. Like at the end of the day, I did kind of reflect on that. And I was like, well, that was a silver lining, like restored my faith in humanity a little. It was just nice that every single person I talked to was kind. So anyway, it's going to be okay. It's a small bump in the road, but I had to share that as my low, obviously. I did think when I was sitting next to my car, staring at the damage, I was like, well, at least I can share this on the podcast. That's what I think when like good and bad things happen now. But if you are someone that's had a little bit of a shitty January, like myself, okay, just so you know, my sweet neighbor enlightened me with information that the new year actually doesn't start until February 17th. So we're in the year of the snake still, and the year of the horse is upon us. So just so you know, if you are going through it, I am subscribing to that the new year starts on February 17th. So anyway, we're going to get into the episode now, and I'm going to do this, like I said, Q&A style. So we're going to start off with what is a GLP-1 and what does it do? So GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, and it's a hormone your gut releases when you eat. It's what signals when your body is satisfied and full. So a GLP-1, it slows digestion, keeps you satisfied longer, it stabilizes blood sugar, reduces cravings, supports fat loss and metabolic health, and then it signals that fullness. And a GLP-1 is the hormone that medications like Ozempic and tirzepatide mimic, but your body already makes it naturally. And this is why I'm so excited to talk about this today, because we all don't need a GLP-1 drug to support ourselves. Sometimes we just need the right habits and information. And so I hope this episode gives you a lot of digestible information and it's easy to understand. And you can kind of take what you want and leave what you don't. Hopefully I can give you some, tools and little tweaks that you can make in your life that are going to not only improve your education with the food that you're eating, but different kind of tips and habits that you can implement in. They're going to help you feel better and ultimately help you on your body recomposition journey, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to like give you guys all the tea, all the info. Like I'm not a gatekeeper when it comes to different tips and tricks that can really help you see more results. So how do you increase your GLP-1 hormone naturally? Fiber. Fiber is the strongest natural GLP-1 trigger, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the episode. But what does fiber do? It keeps digestion regular. It helps with hormone balance. It stabilizes blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, supports your gut health, which then supports your nutrient absorption. It improves satiety, and it helps you stay fuller longer. And it reduces those cravings, which is really helpful when you're on a body recomp journey. What is my fiber goal? What are the two different types of fiber, and how much fiber do you need in a day to boost your GLP-1 hormone naturally? Loaded question, but we're going to get into it. So the average person should be consuming about 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. I shoot for 30 to 35 grams, and I try to average it out to about 6 to 8 grams of fiber per meal. This obviously is going to change based on my day. Like if I have a routine day at home, I'm normally doing 3 meals with 2 snacks. If I'm out and about all day, I might do 2 bigger meals and like 3 to 4 smaller snacks, so I'll average out my fiber differently based on the day. But, I guess consistently I try to get about 6 to 8 grams per meal. And there's 2 types of fiber. So soluble fiber is the fiber that dissolves in water and it forms like a gel-like substance in your gut, which slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and reduces those cravings. Okay, you can get soluble fiber from oats, bran, chia seeds, flax seeds, apples, lentils, beans. Those are kind of the major food groups. And this is the strongest natural trigger for the GLP-1 hormone release. So it's really important to have about 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day. That is what's going to give you all the benefits of like what a GLP-1 shot would do. The next type of fiber is insoluble fiber. This one doesn't dissolve in water. This stays intact as it moves through your digestive tract. So this helps regulate digestion, which then decreases bloating. Better digestion equals better nutrient absorption, which then equals less inflammation, better hormone clearance. I am telling you right now, if you can improve your digestion, you're going to have minimal bloating. It's going to really, really help that area. So getting your digestion in check is a very important thing when it comes to general health and wellness, but also excreting toxins and feeling good and getting rid of waste. Insoluble fiber also helps with detoxification and gut health, and you can get your insoluble fiber from veggies, veggie skin, leafy greens, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. So the important fiber takeaways, I want to be really clear on this. If you're someone that's only consuming on average like 6 to 8 grams of fiber a day, don't go eat 35 grams of fiber tomorrow because you're going to have major stomach discomfort and digestive discomfort. So what I would do if you are sitting here and you're like, Hannah, I have no idea how much fiber I'm eating. You're kind of feeling in the dark right now. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go download the Lose It app or whatever tracking app that you like, and you're going to naturally track your fiber over the next 3 days. Okay. So you're going to track all your food, and then you're gonna be able to see the average amount of fiber you're consuming per day. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, it's 8 grams Monday, 12 grams Tuesday, and 10 grams Wednesday. I would start off with about 12 to 14 grams of fiber a day. Do that for 3 to 4 days, then bump it up to like 15 to 20 grams of fiber for 3 to 4 days, then go from 20 to 25 grams, and then 25 to 35 grams. Okay. I like I said, I try to shoot for about 30 to 35 grams, but you need your body to adjust to fiber. You have to like let it kind of adapt and increase it slowly, or else you're going to have the adverse effects and have constipation, bloating, and all that stuff. Okay. You also need both soluble and insoluble. I don't track, like, honestly, you guys, I don't like sit there and like micromanage my fiber intake. That sounds like a lot of work. And I just try to I know where I'm getting my soluble fiber from, and then the rest is usually the insoluble fiber. So I don't think you need to be super, super meticulous and psychotic about the types of fiber you're consuming. I think that if you're having symptoms of something, then it's important to be a little bit more specific with the type of fiber. So for example, if you're constipated, I would prioritize insoluble fiber and hydration. If you're blood sugar sensitive, inflamed, or having cravings, I would prioritize soluble fiber. So it is important to know, or it's nice to know like what each one does. But ultimately, one of the biggest key takeaways with fiber is you have to stay hydrated. Like, you need to be drinking 100 ounces of water a day if you're eating 25 to 35 grams of fiber and you want it to work for your body and not work against your body. So that is something that's ultra, ultra important. I strive for 100 ounces of water a day. I like to get a gallon, which is 128, but I feel like at 100 ounces of water, I feel really good. And ultimately, it's all about, how you feel. But hydration is something I've talked about multiple times, and I'll probably continue to talk about multiple times because it is so important for your overall health and wellness, but especially when it comes to digestion and moving that fiber through and all of that stuff. Okay, how do you eliminate the bloat that can sometimes come with a high fiber intake? This is, the first thing I'm going to say, I just harped on this, is water. Water is going to help this a lot. Like, that 100 ounces is key. Cooking your veggies over raw veggies can also help. And then you want to spread out your fiber strategically. Like, you don't want to have 25 grams of fiber in one meal. Ultimately, that might make you feel a little bit bogged down and constipated. So like I said, I like to sprinkle in my fiber throughout the day. That's when I feel my best. I feel like I don't have any cravings. I feel full and satiated. So there is like a method to the madness in that realm. And then I would go lighter on the cruciferous vegetables. So broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale. Those can cause bloating for a lot of people. So you want to cook them down, and that can help with that bloating symptom. And then last thing is digestive enzymes. So I really like 2 different types of digestive enzymes. I genuinely notice a difference when I take these. One of them being the Athlete Digestive Formula from Gains and Bulk. I do have like a link for them. I'll link it down below. It should save you 15%. And then I also love the Array bloat capsules. I feel like if I ever do get bloated, those really help kind of alleviate some of the bloat. And then I try to take the Athlete Digestive Formula before I have like a higher volume meal or a higher protein meal, or just maybe I'm out to eat and I'm eating foods I'm not normally used to. That really helps like set myself up for success and feeling good after the meal. It also helps the next morning with like eliminating water retention and helping with digestion and all that stuff. So I'll link those 2 down below. What are some high fiber meals and snacks you make? Well, we all know I'm obsessed with my Greek yogurt bowl. That has about 9 grams of fiber in it. I pretty much eat that every single morning. Like, you guys, this bitch doesn't get sick of the Greek yogurt bowl. Okay. I freaking love it. It's so good. It's high volume. I can add in stuff. I can take away stuff. I have a whole reel on my Greek yogurt bowl. I think I can link my reels down below. So I'm going to link that one. But I add in this flaxseed, chia seed powder that has a lot of fiber in it, and I get it from Sprouts. I'll link it down below, but I'm obsessed with it. And then I also have a chia seed protein overnight oats thing that has a lot of fiber in it that I'll link down below. Both of those recipes are on my Instagram. And then I like to add avocado in everything. I probably eat about half an avocado a day, and half an avocado has 7 grams of fiber. And then 1 cup of black beans and lentils have 15 grams of fiber. Quinoa has 5 grams of fiber per cup. Chickpeas, 5 grams of fiber per cup. And then I do a lot of blackberries and sometimes raspberries in that Greek yogurt bowl. And per 1 cup has 8 grams of fiber. So those are some good high fiber foods that I like to integrate into my day. I'm not doing, just for full transparency, I'm not doing a full 1 cup of black beans in something. I'll probably do like a 4th cup. But once again, you're getting fiber from different things, which is good too, because that means you're also getting a variety of the insoluble versus soluble fiber. But those are some of like my go-to things. Let's talk about blood sugar and glucose spikes and how to like eliminate them. And I just really want to educate you guys on these 2 subjects, because the more education that I have gained in the fiber, blood sugar, glucose spike realm has been so insightful and so amazing for me and my body recomposition and just like how I feel throughout the day. So let's start with, what is a glucose spike? It's just a rapid rise in blood sugar after you eat or drink. So this can cause the energy crashes, that sleepiness after eating, maybe like a lethargic feeling, strong cravings, food noise, sometimes shakiness. You know, when you have a glucose spike, like we've all been there, when on a Saturday morning we're with our friends and we go get a bunch of donuts and you eat 3 donuts, and in the moment it's so good, you feel good, and then 30 minutes later you're having that lethargic crash feeling. You might even have a stronger craving. You might feel a little shaky. It's just a lot happening at once for your body. So what causes a glucose spike? Eating carbs alone. I mean, there's a few different reasons we're going to go over right now. But first being eating carbs alone, especially the fast digesting carbs, like for example, donuts or any refined starch or flours or refined sugars, ultimately like most kind of quote unquote unhealthy foods. You want to think about dressing your carbs. And I was listening to a few weeks ago, I was listening to Dr. Mark Hyman's podcast. He had the glucose goddess on, and she explained it like this. And this just really resonated with me, and it like clicked in my brain. And I was like, yeah, I need to talk about this on the podcast because it was such a good way to explain this. So going back to dressing your carbohydrates, you just don't want your carbs to be naked. You always want to pair them with protein, fat, or fiber, and that's going to reduce the spike naturally. So for example, if you are someone that loves toast in the morning, I would pair that with eggs, cottage cheese, or some type of protein. If you like oatmeal, add in the chia seed powder, the flaxseed powder, the protein powder. If you are someone that likes to have rice, pair it with chicken, steak, or eggs. Pasta, add the meat sauce, add the chicken, add the ground beef or the lentils. Like, it's just really important that we're dressing up our carbs so we're not eating our carbs just by themselves. That protein, fat, and fiber is going to blunt that glucose spike, and ultimately you're going to feel better after. Another thing that causes glucose spike or spikes are anything that's super low fiber. So when a meal lacks fiber, the glucose absorption is faster, which creates that bigger spike. Soluble fiber specifically, like we talked about, is helpful because it forms that gel-like substance in the gut and it delays the glucose absorption, which reduces the height of the spike. So soluble fiber is a hack, okay? It's a cheat code. Let's get that 10 grams a day. You get 10 grams of soluble fiber in a day, and it's going to mimic that same like GLP-1 drug response in a way, okay? Another thing is those liquid calories, sugary iced coffees, sugary sodas, smoothies without fiber or protein. All of those can create a glucose spike. So once again, it's really important that we dress our carbs with protein, fat, and fiber. And then we also want to make sure we're eating like on a plate. We want to eat our carbs last, technically, or you want to start with the protein and fat and then kind of move into the carbohydrates if we're really getting strategic and breaking down what's going to help blunt that glucose spike. That is going to help. What happens when you have frequent and repetitive glucose spikes? So over time, this can cause insulin resistance. It can promote fat storage. It can increase inflammation. It can disrupt your hormone and hunger signals. So occasional spikes are normal. Frequent spikes are not. Okay, we really want to get away from the frequent glucose spikes because those do have some negative effects like the ones I just listed. So this is why this episode I feel like is so beneficial to listen to, because it's going to help you be more strategic in the types of food you're eating. It's going to help you feel better, not only energy wise, but if you feel better energy wise, you're going to move your body better. You're going to be more productive. You're going to feel better. You're going to have less food noise. Like this episode is going to have an amazing snowball effect if you can implement in some of these tools and tactics like the ones I'm talking about. Okay. What do you do to reduce a glucose spike? We're going to kind of go over this in a granular way. Obviously, prioritizing fiber, lifting weights regularly. Ladies, we got to hit the weights. Okay. We got to lift the weights. I lift 5 days a week. It is a non-negotiable in my routine. I just lift 40 to 45 minutes. Even this morning, you guys, and I'm not saying this like, oh, look at me. I wake up at 4:15. Like, I don't even think waking up at 4:15 is necessarily good for you every day, but I had an insane day today and it did cross my mind last night. Like, maybe I won't lift tomorrow. And then I said, no, Hannah, you're going to lift. I'm going to bed early. I went to bed at 9:30 last night too. So I was going to get a decent amount of sleep. And as I was time blocking before I went to bed, I said, yeah, you're getting your ass up at 4:15 and you're going to be at the gym at 5 a.m. and you're going to leave the gym at 5:40. And that's exactly what I did. I lifted for 40 minutes. Lifting is amazing for so many things, but especially with improving your insulin sensitivity long-term. More muscle equals better insulin sensitivity, which then equals fewer spikes. So we need to build the muscle. Having muscle mass does so many amazing things, not only for your insulin sensitivity, but also your metabolic health. It increases your BMR. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how important it is to implement in lifting into your workout split. Okay, next thing is protein first or protein included. Like we talked about, that 20 to 30 grams of protein can blunt a spike. And then you want to pair your carbs. Like we want to dress up the carbs. We want to skip out on carbs only. I mean, every once in a while, we're going to have a time where we're eating like a really fun food and we don't have protein, fat, or fiber, and that's okay. Okay. An occasional spike is fine. We're not like being psychotic over here, but I think it's important to be intentional, and the small decisions you make can really add up to long-term success and just you feeling good at the end of the day, which I think is important. Also, walking after meals, 5 to 10 minutes makes a huge difference when it comes to blunting a glucose spike. And then consistent meal timing. So avoiding long fasts if you're blood sugar sensitive is important. There's obviously a lot of research and data with like intentional fasting, and I'm not anti-fasting. I mean, the data is out there and it can be beneficial for your gut health and metabolic health and detoxification and inflammation and all that stuff. But generally speaking, I think most women, I'm speaking for like women here, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is important. Especially, I just feel like too, and this is a hot take. I'm going to say a hot take right now. Okay. I think that some men or men in general do really well with intermittent fasting and women do not. Okay. I've tried intermittent fasting before and I've talked about this, but when I tried to do intermittent fasting, it was like the food noise was so loud. I had major like crashes and glucose spikes. Like I just feel like I was starving by the time I was quote unquote able to eat in my window. So I don't really subscribe to the whole intermittent fasting thing. I mean, there's a time and a place sometimes for it, but you can still get a really nice like fasting window if you stop eating at like 7 p.m. and start eating at 8 a.m. Like that's a good amount of hours that is giving your digestive tract a break. So I don't think we need to be setting these insane intermittent fasting windows to see results and have success. But like I said, I've talked to a lot of men, and even men that have done my coaching program, I've noticed that they do really well with intermittent fasting. And even just like men in my life who have intermittent fasted, they love it. But I feel like for men, another hot take, food isn't as emotional as it is for women. Like we as women kind of like think about things more intently and are a little bit more emotional in general. And so, yeah, I'm just not a big fan of like really harsh times for intermittent fasting for women, but I'm kind of getting on a tangent there. Okay. And this last tip, this is a hot tip, you guys. This is a hot tip to help decrease the height of a glucose spike. And that is the apple cider vinegar shot trick. I actually used to do this in college. I haven't done this in a long time. But as I was prepping for this episode, I was like, wait, I used to do that. And it's because I listened to a podcast back in the day that said that that helps with like insulin sensitivity and all that stuff. So what you're going to do is 10 to 20 minutes before a carb heavy meal, you're going to either dilute or you can just throw it back 1 to 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I like to just throw it back, but if you have like, if you're someone that's sensitive to that, like, I mean, it does not taste good. So if you're someone that's sensitive to that, or you have like low enamel, you don't want your throat to burn for a second, then I would dilute it in the water. But throwing back an apple cider vinegar shot 10 to 20 minutes before a carb heavy meal lowers the peak of the glucose spike. So that's something that I would do if I'm having like maybe a really fun meal. I'm going out to dinner. I'm having a higher carb meal. That's something you can do to lower that glucose spike, which is amazing. It's a nice little tip. Okay, guys, that's what I have for the episode in terms of, fiber education and the importance of it, naturally boosting that GLP-1 hormone. I just want to say, like, I'm not anti-GLP-1 at all. I've never done one and I don't plan on doing one, but I do think there are people that use the GLP-1 drug, like the Ozempic, the tirzepatide, all of that stuff. I think they use it in a way that can be beneficial, or they're using it the right way. They're using it more as a tool rather than just a blanket in terms of like helping a problem. But I do think there is also a lot of people out there online that are not using the GLP-1 drug correctly. And it's hard as someone that's in the nutrition coaching realm and just like the health and wellness realm to see it be abused, because I don't want every girl to just run to the GLP-1 drug, run to Ozempic, and neglect every other area of their life that they could be putting time and energy into to improve themselves. And this is why this episode is so important to me, because I want to be like, actually, girls, we can increase our GLP-1 hormone naturally. Okay, let's talk about that. Like, why are we not talking about what we can do to help body recomp naturally? I just think it's a conversation that needs to be had more, especially in a day and age where everyone is shooting themselves up with a GLP-1 to like see more results. And once again, there are people that need to do it or are advised by a doctor to do it, and that's great. But I think it's important to have this conversation as well. And so that's why I'm so excited to launch this episode. I hope it was helpful. I hope the information was digestible. And if you guys have any questions, drop a comment down below, DM me. I am excited for next week's episode. I'll talk more about that on my Instagram stories later this week. But that's all I have for you today. So I hope you guys have the best weekend, and I will see you next week.